Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I just wanted to pop in here real quick because I saw a really disturbing study about Black males and HBCU attendance. And I really had some thoughts on this because, as you know, I've been a Black man for most of my life now since the surgery. And my belief is that a lot of times we make things harder than they have to be. And let me just sort of give you some stats so I can just kind of tell you the frame of reference and why I am a little bit concerned. Now, as we get started, do me a favor. Let me know if you can hear me. Give me a quick yes if my audio is coming through okay. And shout out the city you're from. And I see Dr. R. Conrad Bingham is in here. Dr. Bingham, what kind of doctor did you say that you were? Either way, though, man, you have my respect because I know that you're a serious Black man, and I respect other serious Black men. So I want to give you a shout out. And Aubrey Smoke, I see you too. All right, so all right, so Ricardo Stallworth out of DC. Here's what the stats are saying. The New York Times wrote an article about it, and of course, everybody's alarmed, right, and surprised and shocked um, by the things that a lot of us knew were coming down the pike already. And it says here the Black men account for 26% of the students at HBCUs, which is down from an already low 38% in 1976, according to the American Institute for Boys and Men. So Dr. Bingham, who is a dentist from Howard University, probably has some interest in this topic. And I encourage you, feel free to make your comments in the comment section, and all that can be considered, because I think this is something that needs to be discussed. And I'm going to explain to you why I'm very sensitive to this topic. It's not just because I'm a Black male, but because I've expressed concern over this issue for a while. 20 years ago, I wrote a book called What If George Bush Were a Black Man? And in that book, I pretty much laid out statistical evidence to pretty much describe the experience of the Black male in America and how Black men are left with a margin of error in society that is thinner than most people. And in this book, it was controversial, of course, but I didn't, I stand on what I say. And I wrote it when I was on the faculty at Syracuse. And so seeing the stat made me think not just about the time when I wrote that book, but why I wrote the book. I wrote the book because I've seen a lot of Black males have a hard time. I've seen a lot of Black males in places where I don't think a Black man should be. And then also, I think about things that you've seen and we've all heard through the years, like when Malcolm X's bodyguard was talking about Malcolm and how he felt being around Malcolm, he started to cry. And they said, "Well, why are you crying?" He said, "Because being around Malcolm let me feel like a man." He said, in the rest of America, they pretty much want Black men to be little boys. Give me a guess if you agree with that. The Black male he is infantilized. That's a term I heard. There's a guy at Duke who used that term, and I thought that's a great term. So I've been using it ever since. Infantilized, made into infants. Typically, when it comes to Black men doing well in America or getting success, or white people putting them on TV, it's usually because it's not because they are a distinguished and intelligent Black man like Dr. Conrad Bingham. It is because the Black man has shown up as either a little boy, a little girl, or a child, right? So, well, a little boy, a little girl, or a clown. Sorry, I said the child. The child is a little boy. So, a little boy, a little girl, or a clown. That's why I want you to pay attention now. This is all going to connect to the Black male problem that many universities are experiencing. I want you to think about the fact that most of the Black men in America that these boys look up to growing up, most of the Black men that they see on TV that they admire, most of the Black males that are influencing them are athletes, entertainers, or comedians, right? It's either some rapper, who's rapping about how wonderful it is to be a drug dealer, calling himself the N word the entire time. So how are you gonna expect to go to college when your whole life you've been told you ain't nothing but a nigga? I'm serious. Serious question. Niggas don't go to college. Niggas don't go out and become successful. Dr. Conrad Bingham is not a nigga. Dr. Conrad Bingham probably had some man that taught him how to be a man. So you have a whole shout out to a speech from Arrested Development. He made a whole documentary called the Nigga Factory, and we mass produce IGAs. I'm gonna say IGA instead of the N word because I don't want to keep saying it. We mass produce IGAs the same way Ford mass produces pickup trucks. You mass produce males that don't go to college. You mass produce males that don't want to read books. You mass produce males that want to go to prison. You mass produce males that want to die young. You mass produce males who look up to other males who are going to be dead by the age of 40. And so when I saw this stat that the percentage of students at HBCUs, black males, this is affecting your ability to reproduce, black people, by the way. I hope you understand that how this affects your ability to reproduce. We got a daughter going to an HBCU next year, and she's going to be surrounded by other girls. And what does that mean? That means that there's going to be 3 girls for every guy, and they're all going to be competing for the same guys, which means which means that the STDs will be everywhere, because y'all know how you know the culture. Y'all know what this so-called culture is, and this is what we see. So let me drill into this a little bit and give a perspective. Here's the thing, though. This problem won't be solved anytime soon because nobody really wants to solve the problem. People don't really want to solve problems because solving problems requires a little bit of discomfort. Solving a problem requires you to do something different from what you've already done. Like solving a problem requires you to have to think outside the box. Solving a problem requires you to have to change your behavior. There's nobody incentivized in America to solve the black male problem. Even black women, a lot of black women are not incentivized to solve the black male problem because a lot of that might involve black men who choose to not vote for the Democratic Party like you told them to, or black males who choose not to become the people that you want them to be. Or maybe part of the problem means that the mother who sees her son as a good boy doesn't understand that he needs to grow into becoming a good man. There's a lot of good boys out here that are 42 years old. There's a lot of good boys out here that are getting 8 girls pregnant and having their mother pay the child support, right? So very few people are incentivized to solve the problem. I know white people ain't gonna solve it because if the black male is trained to be competitive, then that creates competition. They don't want competition from you. They don't want you competing for the best jobs and the best opportunities. They want you on the basketball court. Get your butt out there on stage. Go hold your nuts and call yourself a nigga in front of us. We'll pay you money for that. No, get up on there and tell jokes like Kevin Hart. We need y'all up there making us laugh. We don't want you scaring us because you scare us when you show up intelligent. You scare us when you show up prepared. You scare us when you show up disciplined. You scare us when you show up with a vision. You scare us when you show up with a plan. You scare us when you show up with a family. You scare us when you show up with black love for a black woman, raising black children in a stable home. That scares us. We need you to be George Floyd. We need you to get shot by the cops so we can feel sorry for you because we see you as a pathetic, drug-addicted piece of shit that is worthless that we can just rally around because we look at you like a little baby. That's part of the issue. See, and again, here's the thing. The reason that this problem won't get solved anytime soon is because America doesn't listen to black men like me. Well, they don't listen to black men like me. Well, why? Well, because I don't have enough pathologies. I'm not getting drunk every day. I'm not getting high every day. I'm not overcoming a 12-year prison sentence. I am not, I didn't get shot by the cops. I'm not unemployed and broken. I'm not out. I don't have eight babies mamas. I'm just a regular black man who went and got a doctorate and who works very, very hard every day, who loves his wife, who wants to do his best to take care of his kids, who tries his best to improve himself every day. That is not interesting to America. That is not interesting to society. So black men like me, black men like Farrakhan don't get listened to by the people who are claimed to be trying to solve the problem, because the problem is they're wondering why the black man showing up soft and broken and uneducated and incapable, but they don't understand that they are raising them to be bitches and punks and little ignorant losers. That's what they're raising them to do. That's what they want. Even the mama wants him to be her baby. She doesn't see it. Think about this. How many of you, I'm going to slow down so you can understand where I'm coming from, because I know I'm going to offend some people with this, and that's just what it is. How many of you have seen a mother coddle the shit out of their son to the point where you can't tell her nothing? You say your son is a dirtbag. She don't want to hear it. You tell her your son is lazy. She don't want to hear, oh, he's a good boy. Well, your son, he gave up. He doesn't want to take care of his kids. Well, no, that's because his baby's mamas be mean to him, and that's because he's a black man. I'm just worried about him getting shot by the police and getting arrested. It ain't his fault he keeps getting locked up. It ain't his fault that he just only drank. I seen this. I saw this even as a little kid. I saw somebody who was my father's age, who was one of my father's friends, and he was a big time alcoholic, drug addict, all this other stuff. And his children were my age. and his kids would get abandoned, and because he'd be out drinking and smoking and doing whatever. And his mother would make excuses for him. His mother would say, well, the reason he goes out and drinks and smokes is because his wife is mean to him, blah, 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 blah. So unfortunately, the people that make excuses for black men are the very ones who are creating the problem. The ones who what's the word, who enable weakness amongst the black males. You're manufacturing this, you're creating this. These are your sons, these are your brothers, these are your baby daddies, these are your, for the white man, these are your employees, these are the boys it's for the school teachers, these are the young boys you're claiming to educate. So the destruction of the black male, which I think is directly connected to this issue of black men not being in attendance in these HBCUs, which is a significant problem for the reproductive capability of black people. It's one of those things where, they say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I would say also it takes a village and a highly coordinated, systematic effort to destroy millions of black men. Like, it wasn't one person or one entity. It was everybody working together to keep the black men on the bottom of the barrel. So if black men want to rise out of this, they're going to have to let go of political correctness. You're going to have to let go of the bullshit. You're going to stop co-signing on the nonsense. You're going to stop letting these Jewish record labels tell you that something's black culture when you know that it's not, when it's death culture, it's destructive culture. You got to stop letting these women boss you around and tell you what a man's supposed to be. Ain't no woman going to tell me what it means to be a man. I love black women. I respect them to the end of time, but you're not going to tell me what it means to be no man. That's not going to happen. You got to go deal with these school systems that are getting billions of dollars to not educate the kids. Why in the hell is a school system? Oh, that's right, because they're in line with the Democratic Party, and we don't dare question the Democratic Party. That's what that is. You don't question the Democratic Party, and these teachers unions own the party. So the teachers unions get you thinking that you need to keep your black son in a school that is failing, a school where 90% of the kids can't read at grade level, but you're supposed to stay there because you don't want to be seen as no black Republican. I'm just telling you, this is me just being honest with you. This problem will not be solved because you have a fundamental issue in that ain't nobody really raising these black boys to be productive citizens. I'm not saying they're all losers. I'm not saying that being a black male means you're a loser or you're not worthy. I'm not saying that at all. And I hope it doesn't sound that way. I'm saying that this is a problem that has disturbed me for many, many years. Now, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm a finance professor, by the way, if you want to know what my background is. And I believe that one of the solutions for black males is that every black man should learn how to invest. Every black man should own stock. Every black man should own real estate. Every black man should consider the ability to own a business in case you can't get a job, because black men have the highest unemployment rate in America. So I have a training you can take a look at on how to select stocks that you want to buy. Feel free to take a look at the drboycemethod.com. The URL's on the screen, the drboycemethod.com. Also, this podcast is on Spotify. So if you look up my name on Spotify, you can find me there. And then last but not least, every morning we do economic elevation training every single morning at 10 a.m. because, this is the drill. This is how we become great again. It's repetition. So every single morning we get together and we do our economic elevation training. So you can sign up at drboyceelevate.com, or you can text the word morning, MORNING, to the number 87948. So text morning to 87948. So we're talking about this recent study that shocked everyone about black males only being 26% of the student body at HBCUs. This is a problem because in most cultures, women pick their husbands when they're in college, or they find the man that they're eventually going to marry while they're in school. I met my wife when I was in school. And so what's happening now is that the entire ecosystem of reproduction amongst African Americans has been dismantled. The Economist wrote a long article about this where they explained that if you were to look at black people the same way you might look at gorillas or well, not, that's a racist way to kind of describe it, or zebras in the wild, that our ecosystem has been disrupted. You have a huge imbalance of marriage eligible women versus the number of marriage eligible men. So what happens is it affects the men's behavior and the women's behavior. You get the men who say, why should I get married? There's too many women out here. I can't please them all. And then you have the women all competing. You're like, okay, well, maybe I can't get a man. Maybe I got to get an OnlyFans, or maybe I got to show more booty on Instagram. Maybe I got to have sex with him on the second date instead of the third date, stuff like that. And this leads to other problems like STDs, through the roof. A lot, baby mama itis is everywhere. So this is a fundamental crack and destruction of Black society. This is a breakdown of Black institutions. This is what it looks like for a community to struggle and fail, because I think you're taking guidance from the wrong people. So let me give you a few factors that I believe have caused this massive decline in the percentage of Black males that are in attendance in HBCUs or attendance at universities in general. Okay, so the first thing here is no Black male teachers. Most public schools, again, most public schools don't really think it's very important to have Black male teachers. I spoke at a public school in Syracuse, and it was an inner city school that was 90% Black and Hispanic, and there were all these Black and Hispanic kids, and every single teacher was white. And they asked me to go into a room full of Black boys, and most of these boys have been put into special education. That's what they do to them in the school system. They put them all in special ed because that's what they try to do to me. That's what they do to all of them. And so I get in there, and this special ed class where the teacher couldn't control the boys, and I controlled them in a matter of seconds. I talked to them for a minute. We talked about football or something, and eventually I had their attention, and I had them all wanting to read my book, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About College. And they said, "How did you do that?" I said, "It's easy. It's just like you talking to another white woman. Like, it's not, I mean, I can't talk to white women the way you can. You can't talk to Black men the way I can. So it's simple. You need more Black male teachers," because every single teacher that I was meeting with was a white female from the suburbs. I said, "How in the hell, who made you even think that it's even logical to have a bunch of white women from the suburbs trying to teach a bunch of Black boys from different parts of the city? That don't make no damn sense." But that is the overseer mindset. And this is liberal and conservative. Liberals and conservatives have an overseer paternalistic mindset when it comes to Black people. Why is that? Well, not just because they believe they know what's best for you, but also because there's money in it. There's money in the management of Black people. The Black people are one of the most valuable commodities in America. If you can control their culture, you're going to get rich. If you can control their minds, you're going to get rich. If you can control their infinite appetite for consumer products, you're going to get rich. If you control them in the school system, you're going to get rich. Tell me if you know what I'm talking about. Give me a yes if you're following this. If you control them in the penitentiaries, oh, you're going to get rich. Right? So if you look at, for example, a penitentiary or a public school, you might see Black children everywhere. You'll see Black faces everywhere. But Black people are not the ones actually running the institution. We're not the ones who actually own the institution. We're not the ones who benefit from the institution. We are the commodity that is housed in the institution. Do you understand the difference? If I go to a farm that's owned by KFC and the farm's full of chickens, that don't mean the chickens are running the damn place. Even the damn Super Bowl. I saw the Super Bowl and they said, "This is the blackest Super Bowl ever. Look at all the Black people on the stage and look at all the Black people on the field." I said, "Yeah, you got Black people everywhere except for the owner's box." But they made some money. I'm sure Kendrick is doing all right. I'm not feeling bad for him. But you got Black people everywhere except the owner's box. I said, go back 300 years, go to any plantation on a Sunday afternoon, and you'll find the same thing. Black people doing all the entertaining, yeah, and competing with each other, all to the enjoyment of white folks sitting on the porch drinking lemonade and making money off of it. So what's different? Ain't a whole lot different. Just getting paid more, and you think you're fancier because times have changed, but they haven't changed as much as you think. So we are the ultimate commodity. So the Black male is a commodity. And when you have a commodity, you don't raise a commodity. You don't train a commodity to take over the system in which they're commodified. Do you understand? Like, let me tell me if you get what I'm saying. Like no farmer raises a chicken as a family pet. No farmer raises a cow and says, "I love this cow. This cow is just like a member. We're gonna treat the cow like the dog." No, they would never eat the dog, but they plan to eat the damn cow. So the goal for the cow is not to do what's in the best interest of the cow, to take care of the cow, make sure the cow's healthy and good. It's to get the cow fat so you can eat that damn thing. Right? And breed that sucker and make sure you can make as much money as possible. So the Black male is pulled through the educational system, not with anyone actually having the objective of ensuring that Black male is fully capable and healthy and strong and intelligent and ready to lead a family and ready to be his absolute best. No, they're preparing him to be an employee. They're preparing him to be a prison inmate so they can make money. They're preparing him to be a consumer so they can make money. They're preparing him to be a rapper or a comedian or an NFL player so they can make money. They're preparing him to be something other than any form of captain of industry, any leader in society, any of that stuff. So that right there, if you start with the system, there is nothing in this system that's designed to produce the kinds of black men that are going to be capable of elevating the black community on any level, not even being husbands, fathers, and business owners that can create jobs. Because all these activities, being a husband, being a father, being a leader, being a job creator, requires a certain amount of skill and confidence and focus and understanding who the hell you are. A lot of these guys ain't got it at 35 years old. They don't look and say, well, the kids in the neighborhood need something. Let me as the man go and get with other men and create this. They're not thinking that way. They're like, dang, well, I wish white people would build a park up in here. Or those kids, those are some badass little kids. That mama down the street, her kids are all over the place. There's not a lot of training on what it means to have the authority and the skill to actually lead a community. It just doesn't happen. Because why is that? Let's go to the next part of it then. Here's another culprit, and black folks have yet to confront it, but you're going to have to at some point. The mass promotion of thug dope dealer culture in hip hop in the last 30 years has been one of the worst things to happen to black people since slavery. That's what it is. There is absolutely nothing about committing your subconscious mind to the consistent repetition of mantras that are built around death, irresponsibility, criminal behavior, sexual promiscuity, wasting all your money. There's nothing about these mantras in hip hop songs and the promotion of the imagery and symbolism of thug culture that is doing anything in terms of building the kinds of men that you can build, that can carry a community on their back. There is nothing. So what you got to look at is you got to say, well, if these boys are not going to college, when they're little, who are they looking up to? Who are they looking? Because like 76% of them ain't looking up to their daddy. They're not seeing their daddy because we don't think the daddies are important anymore. This is why, again, it takes a village to destroy a child. So basically, the village decided that daddies don't matter. Single moms, they can, feminism told y'all can do it all by yourself. You can grow a penis and raise him to be a man. And then he gets about 13, 14 years old and you realize he's bigger and stronger than you and he's not listening to you anymore. So next thing you know, he's running the streets. Because when you go to school, when you go to these bad schools, I mean, the girls and the boys are getting the same education. Why is it that the boys are struggling so much more than the girls? Well, because life requires coaching. We all need a life coach. We all need a life mentor that's going to show us how to get through this thing. The girl has it. The daughter has it. The daughter has her mother. Her mother's right there telling her, pull your skirt down, fix your hair, get to school on time. What are you doing, girl? Stop doing that. And she's responding to her mother. She's copying her mother. She's being constantly confronted by her mother and disciplined by her mother in a certain way. The boy's not getting that from a man. There's no man in his face that's every day reminding him what a man's supposed to do. I mean, do y'all understand just how horrible this has worked out for black people? That in terms of like, do you really think that missing fathers matter, or do you think that it's not a big deal? Like let me ask you this. If we had 76% of all black children without a mother, and every child was raised with just a dad, and it was a happy dad and a great dad, you think that would be the same? Or do you think mothers matter? Do black mothers matter? If black mothers matter, then why don't black fathers matter? Why do we, who told us? Oh, that's right. The Democrats told us, because we got these women that are strong and capable and can do all these amazing things and lead the community and all that. And you act like the men are not important. And even the men believe they're not important. So they kind of flip the family on its head. And so when it comes time for that man to stand up and shine and fight. I don't know about everybody else, but I was taught to fight by my father. My father taught me to be a fighter. My father taught me to not accept the conditions that I'm in. He taught me not to give up. He taught me to keep going. If you don't get that, then that's when you get the boy who sits in his room all day or sits in the basement and smokes weed and plays Xbox and doesn't want to go out and really build, doesn't want to do anything. Or if there's a problem, he expects the strong black women around him to take care of it. So that might be his baby mama. You ever see these you ever see how on every year on Mother's Day there'll always be like some rapper that'll put up a post that says, I just want to say thanks to all my baby's mamas for holding it down for me. Right, so this is the culture you created. You haven't created a culture of outstanding men, to be honest with you. I'm just telling you the truth. Maybe we're outstanding in sports. We're outstanding when it comes to telling jokes. We're outstanding when it comes to rapping, but we're not known as being outstanding when it comes to intellectual endeavors. We're just not. And so this translates to many black men not attending college. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Um, so we talk about thug culture, the missing father. If you dig deep into who the black boys are actually looking up to and getting advice from as they grow up, and they're learning from either athletes, rappers, or people that they see on social media. Where in that equation, anywhere, is it consistently being reinforced that they should go to college? Where in that where in the rapper culture are there lyrics, just lots of lyrics about college? And I mean, the closest you're going to get is Kanye West with College Dropout. That's it. Like you don't get that. But think about the messages that you do get, and I want you to connect that and ask yourself: are there black men who are participating in these activities? There's a lot of messages about having sex with lots of women. There's a lot of men that do that, right? Just 200-300 women, whatever. There's lots of messages about getting money and wasting it, right? And lots of guys do that. There's lots of messages about violence and criminal behavior. There's no shortage of young black males that are, getting caught up in situations that they end up in prison. There's lots of messages about drug use, popping mollies. I'm popping Molly. I'm sweating. I remember that, right? Just a lot of that stuff. I'm in love with the cocoa, right? Stuff like that, right? So there's lots of messages about selling and doing drugs. So the drug dealer culture becomes black male culture. That's why even black males who are not drug dealers are copying the dope man culture. They everybody want to be as cool as the dope boys. Even the straight guys want to be as cool as the dope boys. They want to be as cool as the rappers. They want to be down with the rappers. And this is dysfunctional behavior. A lot of this is very dysfunctional, very anti-family. And this is what exactly the BETs and all these other networks want to push on you. That's why, for example, we went down to Tuskegee and they had to deal with the fact that at homecoming there was a shooting. And wasn't nobody at Tuskegee involved with the shooting, but still, it's like the culture spills over. It hits all of us. And this is a culture that's complex in the sense that you have to want to fix it if you're ever going to address it. You have to confront it. You have to make people uncomfortable. You got to talk about this stuff. You got to call it out. So let me I'm gonna share a story and then I'm gonna be done for today. And by the way, my name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. If you want to join our morning class, feel free to go to drboyceelevate.com. And also, if you want to learn things like stock options, stuff like that, we do have a coin program, certified options income investing network. So if you want to learn stock options from me, we're in week 4 of this cohort. We're going to start another one in about 9 weeks. Feel free to go to drboycecoin.com. I think that investing is one of the things that can liberate a lot of men and give them the confidence that they need and help them become successful. So let's finish up on this point. So we're talking about this shocking study where 26%, or better yet, the black male attendance in HBCUs has dropped to 26%. Nobody knows. Everybody's surprised that it happens. And I explained to you that the reason the problem's not solved is because you're not talking to the right black men. Many of the black men I know who are accepted by many of these white institutions are not genuinely honest about what it means to be black male. It doesn't mean that they're not legitimate black men, but they're much more likely to bring in a feminized man than they are to bring in a masculine male, because masculinity was defined as being toxic and everything else. That's something that I've observed, so the only masculine male allowed in the building might be the football coach, right? So with that being said, I'm gonna share something with you. I haven't told this story before, but this happened in 2013. So in 2013, I thought about the black males that I grew up around. My father did a good job raising me, even though he wasn't perfect. My biological father wasn't around at all. He was on drugs. And I had some other men in my family that disappointed me. And one of the things I realized many years ago when I was about 38 was that we have to build better men and boys. That's something that we have to do. So I put together something in 2013 called BOMB, Building Outstanding Men and Boys, Building Outstanding Men and Boys. And I did like a little tour around this topic, around that, and also the what I call the new paradigm for Black America, which is the four pillars: wealth, education, family, and community. I wrote a whole book called "It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar: A New Paradigm for Black America." You could probably find it on Amazon. So I went to visit Jesse Jackson and another who I respect immensely, and another man named Father Michael Flager out of Chicago, who's a great man. I just have so much respect for these men. Well, anyway, I sat down with Father Flager and Jesse Jackson, and I remember one of the things that was interesting to me was, so I mentioned my idea. I said, I believe that in order for us to have Black men that can be competitive in society, we are going to have to build them. We're going to have to build competitive men. That means making sure that you build men that know how to build wealth. That means creating men that we educate on our own, so they will be the smartest in the room. Men where we teach them values and respect for women and love of family and what it means, just what it means to be a man in America, how you can compete. Because if you can't compete, that white man gonna keep his foot on your neck. He's gonna kick you in the ass. He's gonna throw you in jail. He's gonna treat you like a punk. So you got to be ready to fight. That's just what I believe. I'm a fighter, right? So anyway, I remember when I presented that idea, I was kind of surprised because one of the things Reverend Jackson kept bringing up was the system. High Black male unemployment. But what they need is they need to create more jobs for the Black men. And I said, yeah, we do need more jobs, but I don't believe white people like us that much. I don't think they're going to solve our problem. And I said, but so until they decide they want to help solve our problem, maybe we need to solve it ourselves. And then he mentioned some other stuff. It was like everything was about the system. Now I get what he was trying to say, because I told you I respect Jesse Jackson a lot. He's a wonderful man, love him to death. But I was like, when the hell are we gonna stop waiting on white folks to fix things that are our responsibility? Like, when are we gonna? How long are we gonna keep reminding them Black Lives Matter? We know Black Lives Matter. I think some of us do. So why the hell do you need them to know Black Lives Matter before you acknowledge that Black Lives Matter? What is it about? What magical fairy dust does a white man have in his ass that makes me think that I need to get his acknowledgement and approval before I can prepare myself to compete in this world? Do y'all get what I'm saying? I try to say these things without offending everybody, because I end up pissing people off when I say it, but I'm sorry, I'm mad. I don't know if this makes you mad, but this angers me. I'm looking at this and I see so many brilliant young brothers that could be doing amazing things, but nobody gave them the confidence. Nobody gave them the preparation. Nobody told them how the world really works. And I believe that the best way to prepare a young boy for the world is to help him understand you are at war. You are at war, and you don't have a choice to be a pacifist, because they've already declared war on you. They wanted me dead before I was born. When my 16-year-old mother got pregnant, first thing they wanted her to do was take her Black ass down to the Planned Parenthood clinic and get rid of the problem. Oh my God, we must exterminate this little Negro like we do a cockroach. That's what they were saying. And if it wasn't for the fact that my mother was a God-fearing woman who gave me to God, that's what she said. She said, I gave you to God. And she said, because God told me I had to have this baby. If it wasn't for my mother giving me to God, I would not be here talking to you right now, because Black men like me, they don't want us to exist. So the very people that you are waiting on to solve the problem don't want to solve the damn problem. They have zero interest in solving the problem. They have zero incentive to solve the problem. And some would even say they almost have zero responsibility to solve the problem. I'm not saying that they don't owe us reparations. I'm not saying that they didn't do us dirty. I'm not saying that they didn't robbed from us, stolen from us, cut off our testicles, hung us from trees, mistreated us. You lay out the whole laundry list of everything that's happened to us. I'm going to agree with you 100%. And then I'm going to finish the sentence by saying, okay, now what? Now what? Because they ain't giving out free meals on the victim bus. Now what? That's the big question. Like, now what? Now what? You gonna sit there in your wheelchair and just cry and think that that's gonna make things better? So I'm gonna tell you, when you talk about Black men not being in college, it's because Black people should be educating Black children. Number one. Why are you waiting for a damn DEI program or a public school to do for your kids that you're supposed to? If you ain't even doing it for your kids, what makes you think they're gonna do it for your kids? You got everything you need in your back pocket to educate your own children. You have cell phones that have more knowledge on them than entire universities. You have access to all kinds of information and material I'm right here. I'm a college professor. I am talking to the Black community every day of the week. I've done 25,000 YouTube videos since 2008. And so act like they're blocking you from knowledge and opportunity. Don't tell me you mad because they don't want to teach certain things in the public schools. What makes you ever really think the public schools are going to be good for Black kids anyway? Every damn statistic known to man says that they're ruining the children. So you should be pulling your child out of that burning building and putting them in a place where they are loved. Put that boy in a place where he can be taught how great he's supposed to be, how capable, his responsibility, man. What's up with these guys that just don't feel like they have any responsibility? These Black women, I don't want to take care of no kids. And they be damn children. That to me is weird behavior. That's very strange. That is a culture that was created in a micro lab. You have to go to a lab and create a culture like that because that's not normal. That's not who God intended for us to be. I believe God intended for us to win. God intended for us to be warriors. He intended for us to be leaders. He intended for us to be intelligent. He intended for us to be prepared. So when Black boys are not even prepared to go to college, that means that Black boys are not prepared to succeed in life in many cases. Now, I'm not saying that everybody has to go to college. I'm not saying that at all. So if you're not going to college, where are you getting your education? Where are you getting your skill set? Did you learn how to be a plumber so you can make money as a plumber? That's beautiful. I love that. Or maybe you started a business and you're a hardworking entrepreneur. Okay, I dig that, man. Good for you. Or you're an investor. You're buying stocks and real estate and doing your thing over there. I love it. But you got to be doing something. You got to have a plan. And when I see stats like this, and I'm thinking, man, okay, so young Black girls going to college, they're going to get 27 and start thinking their clocks are going to start ticking. They're going to become highly fertile and be ready to reproduce. And they're going to grab on to some guy who looks like their favorite rapper, and he's going to get her pregnant and leave her before the baby's even born. This is what's happening to you. Ever see that? You see that with the Disney girls? You got the two girls that were the Disney stars, Hallie, what's her face, and the other one. Both of them got pregnant by rappers, and both of them were in broken families. Both of them brought the children into the world in a broken family. This is culture, people. This is what culture does. Because it's only culture that teaches you that somebody who's completely anti-family will be a great person to make a family with. Logic would say that a person who's anti-family doesn't love my kids. You don't love my kids. That means you can't love me. That means you can't come in my body, because if you enter my body, then there's a chance that I might be trying to build a family with somebody. And you can't run a marathon with a sprinter. You can't run a marathon with a sprinter. You can't build in the Empire State Building with somebody who can't even build a sandcastle. So you don't build anything because you're partnering and having children with people, men and women, who are not trained to be builders. So how are you talking about building? How are you talking about Black excellence in building empires when that requires skill, that requires discipline, that requires vision, that requires focus, that requires commitment, that requires work, and that's not even in your culture. So what is it about your culture that makes you ever think that you can be anything other than the white man's bitch? That's it. That's what you're built for. You're built for being. You're built to serve other people. The slave mentality is very real. The fact is that as a community, and I hate saying it like this because people get mad. They think I'm just being a nasty person. I'm not being nasty. I'm being realistic and being honest with you. When you're talking about statistics where we can't even get through a college class. I look back and I think, okay, so that boy who can't get into college, who doesn't have the ability to succeed at the college level, let's go back and see what he was doing when he was 10. Let's see who his greatest influences were. So first thing I'm gonna look at is, did he have a father in his face, or a man, some man? Maybe not his dad, maybe his uncle. Did he have some man in his face every day teaching him how to be a man? Strike one. Two, what did he look up to when you asked him when he was 10 what he wanted to be when he grew up? Did he say, I want to be a scientist, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a corporate leader? Or did he say, I want to be the next LeBron James, or I want to be in the NFL, or I want to be a rapper like Lil Monkey Monk, or I want to be a comedian like Kevin Hart? Like what did he look up to? because what the boy looks up to and what he's influenced by and who he's listening to, who he's getting advice from is going to shape everything about what kind of person he becomes. The man that I am was heavily shaped by my father. My father was a fighter. I'm a fighter. My father believed in education. I have a lot of it. My father married a woman, stayed married 51 years. I wanted to get married because I was like, hey, I want to be like that. Because where I came from, that's what men did. You take responsibility for things. In parts of Africa, if you don't have a wife and children, they don't even respect you. They consider you to be a little boy in many parts of Africa. They're like, why would we listen to you? You've never led anything. You're not a you don't even have a wife and kids that trust you to be followed, to be led by you. But then at the same time, you have a different environment in America. I think that the disrespect is very, very high on both directions. So it is a little bit tough to kind of mark out your spot. But my advice to men, any man that wants to be successful, is I advise them to disconnect completely from what mainstream society tells you about being a black man. You have to disconnect. That means all the entertainment, all the men that you look up to. For years, for example, they used to tell you to look up to Diddy. They used to tell you Diddy was one of the most successful black men in America. They used to tell you that Diddy was this black excellence figure because he was a billionaire. But people, real men, solid men, I believe, always knew Diddy was a clown because he would get up there and he danced for a living. He was 45 years old, acting like a 22-year-old. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. And he was a talker. He would talk about things he was going to do, but he never actually followed through. He was always into flashiness. There was a lot of flash, but there wasn't any substance. There was always a lot of flash and there wasn't any substance. So you go back 15 years and if you were to ask me, do you look up to Diddy? Do you admire Diddy? I'd say, no, he's not. He's just a goofy rapper. That's what he is. But when children grow up and these are the images that are splattered in front of them, the rapper, the comedian, the athlete, even the athletes, they make money. Sure, that's great. And a lot of them are smart guys, decent people. I'm not in any way disrespecting every athlete. But you think about this, these are 30-year-olds who play a children's game. That's what they become 30-year-old men. They're literally playing the same game you played when you were 8. Most 8-year-old basketball players are not playing basketball for a living at the age of 30. And if it wasn't for all the money, they probably wouldn't be either. So the question then becomes, when you take that basketball uniform off, what kind of man are you? What has the world built out of you? So going back to the stat on the HBCUs, I wasn't surprised that you have such a small percentage of HBCU students that are black men. I think the question you must ask yourself is, where are all the black men going? What happened? Where are they? Look around, just kind of look and just sample, go around and look at all the men, let's say in their 20s and their 30s, and then look at who they admire, who they're listening to the most, right? And I want you to pay attention how often they're really inundated with content from hip hop artists like the rapper 50 Cent, who's incredibly immature. He's immature, he's petty, but they see him as a success. They see 50 Cent as this great leader, and it's money. This is my specialty, money. I have a PhD in money. They see 50 Cent as this successful black man because he's got money, but they don't look at the content of his character in terms of what kind of man he is. They don't consider the fact, number one, his children hate him, or at least his son does. I don't know how many other kids he's got. They don't consider the fact that he uses his platform to bully people, just like Donald Trump does. That's what they do, right? They don't consider the fact that that this man has a lot of trauma and dysfunctions that he has not fully addressed and fixed, at least not on the surface. Not that he's discussed any of this. I don't, but maybe he has. Maybe I'm wrong. But at the same time, I don't see much constructive behavior come out of 50 Cent. I don't see him making truly profound statements that are truly going to improve the lives of black people. They just see him as like, okay, he got rich with business and making a show that pretty much fills stereotypes. I mean, it's a show about black people being criminals. Like, that's easy to sell. Hollywood will always buy a show about black people being criminals. They'll never, if you bring a show about black scientists, they're not going to hear that. They don't want to hear that because black people don't become scientists. We go to prison. So ultimately, if you consider who these young boys are looking up to, what makes you think that they can look up to that and actually truly become successful in America? 1 out of every 10,000 of them will get a chance to be like a 50 Cent, but the other 9,999, are just going to be watching. They're going to be sitting on the sidelines. Same thing with or comedians. Like I noticed, for example, they all love that guy Drewski Too Funny and Kevin Hart and guys like what's the other one? The other one, Kai Cenat. And they consider these to be successful black men. Why? Well, because they get lots of attention. Attention translates into money. I have respect for that. But one of the things I want to point out to you that fits my theory in terms of the America wanting to see the black man as a little boy is I saw one episode where Kai Cenat invited Drewski Too Funny and Kevin Hart. Tell me if y'all saw this. He invited him to his room. He does streams from his room, and they had a grown man slumber party. So I want you to think about that. Black men, one of them's damn near 50 years old, or 40, 42, 43, 44 years old, however old Kevin Hart is. The other one's in his 30s. The other one's in his 20s, and they're having a grown man slumber party. What did I say? That America loves the black man when he shows up as a little boy, a child, a little girl, feminine, or a clown. If you are a clown, and if you're all three, that's even beautiful. That's even more beautiful. If you're feminine, childish, and clownish, then you'll make $100 million. They will pay you for that. So these images then go out to all the other little boys, the little boys who want to be strong, who want to be alphas, who want to be leaders, who want to build businesses, who want to be intellectuals. And they say, no, 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 no. Don't be trying to be smart. Don't be making good grades in school. Don't be trying to start businesses. That's square. You're acting white. But if you're funny, or if you can dunk a basketball, then you lit, yo. That's lit. That's lit. And then they'll give that basketball playing buffoon more love and attention than they'll give to the kid who's sitting in his dorm room trying to become the next Mark Zuckerberg. That's why, for example, when you see black males that are successful in those areas, like Neil deGrasse Tyson and what's the other one, Marquez Brownlee, they're not really discussed very much in the black community. They're not considered to be part of the black community. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. Marquez Brownlee, in case you don't know him, Marquez Brownlee has about 14 million followers on YouTube because he's widely respected for his understanding of science and engineering and technology. And I love this kid. He comes from a solid black family, 2 black parents, and he is a smart guy. But one thing about Marquez Brownlee is, number one, he never talks about race because that'll make white people mad at him. And number 2, you don't really see black people admiring him the way they admire Cenat, who pretty much adds no productive value to society. All he does is just act outrageous. You know, there's another I Show Speed. They act outrageous. That's the thing. This goes back. And the thing is, you got to read books like Black Labor, White Wealth, or Powernomics to know the history. Dr. Claude Anderson's written about this, that black men who act outrageous have always been loved by white people. That's always been popular. There ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing but the 2025 minstrel show. So you go back 100 years, it's the same thing. If you see something, you're like, whoa, whoa, ah, you do that type of stuff. People think that that's really funny. They think that's really funny. So so here's the thing. I don't think black men typically can be all that successful if they're trying to go through standardized tracks within the American system. I think integration is a failed strategy for most black males. Black males need to segregate in certain ways, not completely, but in certain ways. The integrationist track pretty much only has those routes for black men. You become a rapper, a comedian, or an athlete, then they'll love you and they'll accept you. And then after that, you got to be a prison inmate or something that's going to make them money. But when you disconnect from that and you say, no, I'm a human being. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a father and a husband. I want to be a scholar. You have the freedom to do all these things, but you have to have the capacity and the courage to, in the skill set to go and develop spaces that allows that to happen. Like even myself, listen to how I talk. Listen to how I talk. Ain't no place in America for people like me. Hey, there's no white America does not embrace a black man like me. And that's okay. I get it. I understand why I wouldn't embrace me either. Black America, a lot of black Americans don't have a place for a guy like me. They think I'm either being uppity because I want us to be intelligent, or they think that I don't know. I mean, or maybe they think that I'm too mean because I won't get into the culture, and if a culture is not healthy, I'm not participating in it. So there's no place for me. So I had to create spaces for myself, and I had to have the courage to do that. Right. So I personally think that a man that wants to be free in America has to truly be free. That means being free mentally. That means being free physically. It means being free financially. You have to train these boys on financial freedom at an early age, and then you got to train them on psychological freedom and show them, just have them do simple calculations in terms of building the kind of men that we want to see. Building the kind of black men that we want to see is very basic. It comes down to, like, what does your community need? What do they need? What do women need? You need men that are going to be there for you, that are going to love and protect you. You need men that know how to be men. A lot of men never learn that because we think they don't need daddies and stuff. We think that a mother's okay. No, I don't think a mother's enough. I think you need a father figure. We need men that are going to say, no, there's a black child over there that's hungry. Oh, I'm gonna make sure that kid gets to eat. And you'd be amazed how many black men give me shit because I love supporting other people's kids. When I see black children that need help, I want to help them. I want to be there for them. And I always thought this was natural. I thought this is what people do. This is what other communities do. But it wasn't until I got to the internet and I started seeing how many men just didn't even understand that. Like, why would you take care of a child that's not yours? Well, because they're black, asshole. If it's a black child that needs my support, needs my protection, needs my encouragement, why wouldn't I give it to him? That's what a leader does, man. And I'm not even trying to be a leader. I'm just trying to be a man, trying to be decent, trying to do what God put us on this earth to do. What makes you think, just the idea that, you ever see these videos where, like, there'll be a woman getting her ass kicked and the men will be standing there videotaping this woman getting beat up? You don't see no men from the Nation of Islam doing that. The men from the Nation of Islam would intervene. You're not going to beat up a black woman in front of a member of the Nation of Islam, based on most of the brothers that I know. Well, why is that? Well, that's because they were trained to be men. They were led by a man who was very unpopular because he was building black men properly. And that's a guy named Louis Farrakhan. That's why they tell you that Farrakhan's public enemy number one. Now, if he was some feminine goofball comedian who was smoking crack every day and not taking care of his kids, oh, he'd be public enemy number one. He'd be in the White House. He'd be sitting with the leadership of the Democratic Party. Like that, he'd be running vote or die campaigns. Even though he got the baby well raping people and stuff, they have him leading the black community. They pick dysfunctional leaders. They got Diddy over here raping folks, Megan Thee Stallion twerking, and they like, this is the leadership of your community. And then you wonder why your community falls apart. You wonder why your men are not being men and your women are not building a brighter future for the community. It's a failure because you're not leading yourselves. You're letting other people tell you what it means to be black. And I think that that's wrong. I think that's an epic failure. And I'm not even here to tell you what it means to be black. Don't let me tell you what it means to be black. I'm just here to present an idea that might hopefully be a little bit different from what you might have seen in mainstream society. That's it. So what does being black mean to you? I think that it starts with survival. I think it starts with providing and protecting our children and our families. I think that it starts with things related to preparing ourselves for the future, keeping ourselves safe and secure so that people can't keep screwing us over. And I think it kind of has a lot to do with getting rid of the victim mentality. I'm gonna give you one more example of this. And I probably done pissed off a whole lot of people. So if I done made you mad or offended anybody in here, I apologize. This is an apology, non-apology. I'm gonna apologize, but I'm really not apologizing. I'm not gonna change a word of it, but I'm kind of apologizing to you because I might have shocked you, because I believe in authenticity and honesty. And I can't change that. That's just, I cannot turn that off. So do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And just in case you don't know, I do have a book called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It's the number one bestseller on Amazon. We're really proud of that. It's the number one bestseller in the public finance category. And we're really proud of it because we don't have a mainstream publisher. I didn't get the book endorsed by a bunch of celebrities. White people didn't put me on TV. We just did this through grassroots connections, grapevine connections in the black community, and the ratings are really good. So if you want to go take a look at that book, feel free to go to drboycebooks.com. And I'm a finance professor, so we made some financial flashcards and workbooks for kids. And this is a copy of the book, by the way. If you want to go take a look, I'm signing hundreds of copies of books tonight before I travel. I got to go give a speech at St. Stephen's Church in Louisville, Kentucky. Kevin Cosby, the pastor there, I have a lot of respect for him. So I'm going to make that drive down to be there with him for his event coming up this weekend. So if you live in Louisville, feel free to, or near Louisville, feel free to stop by. And also every morning we do Money in the Morning, which is an economic elevation training that I do every single day that has helped a lot of people. We have over 10,000 people that signed up. So if you want to sign up and just come and join us in the morning and talk about finances, I will help you understand everything you need to know. I want you to win. I want you to succeed. I want you to have money in your pocket. That's my goal. It's really that simple. Here is something um, that I wanted to bring up. This is going to prove that people are full of shit. Excuse my French, and they're full of crap when they talk about all their so-called concerns about the black male. Um, and It has to do with just all these conversations about Black Lives Mattering. Okay. And here's what's interesting, right? When the George Floyd thing happened and they started all the DEI programs, which they've since eliminated. They started all these DEI programs allegedly because they felt so bad because of what happened with George Floyd and all that. And then suddenly they had everybody on high alert. Everybody was so scared of being killed by a cop. Like every black mother I knew said, I'm just scared to send my black son out here because the police are shooting black men. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not here to any way not acknowledge your feelings on that. I want to acknowledge your feelings on that, but I want to also present some evidence and information to you. I know evidence and information pisses people off, but I'm gonna give you some evidence and information to say that I think that energy was misguided, that they use your fear as a tactic for political domination of you. And it goes like this. Okay, so the other thing that simultaneously happened as we were all scared of being shot by the cops is they had this virus during the whole COVID thing, right? Remember, everybody they were doing commercials with black people telling each other to go get these shots because they were like, "Girl, I got to go get my COVID shot because I want to be safe for my community," right? They did those because it's a money grab. They're making money off this, right? Everything comes back to money. And one of the biggest arguments that they made, these two are connected. So I hope you'll follow me on this argument. Follow me real quick. Stay with me. So the argument that was made was, we want black people to get this shot because black people have the most pre-existing conditions. Black people have the most heart disease. We have the most diabetes. We have the most whatever, all these conditions that where the virus can basically exploit those conditions and take your life, right? So you had two major fears that kind of occurred at the same time. You had the fear of being shot by the cops, and like everybody really thought that they were going to walk outside and just the police officer be waiting there and say, "Bam, Negro, die, Negro," right? And then also you had this fear that we had all these pre-existing conditions, which is very real because people lost loved ones during the pandemic, and I don't want to belittle that at all. But here's what a logical person would say to this, which again speaks to the fact that people don't really want to solve the problem. First thing is that when you talk about all these pre-existing conditions, the pre-existing conditions can be prevented. Right? A pre-existing condition is a condition that wasn't prevented. So when you're telling me that black people, that you care about black people and you want to give us this shot because you love us so much, my thought was, well, why didn't you love us 5 years ago or 10 years ago when you could have put forward initiatives that would encourage healthy eating, protected the hood from getting all this fast food promoted to them, right? Provided incentives for people to exercise and eat right and stuff like that so that these pre-existing conditions wouldn't exist. Well, I know why. It's because capitalism is a beast. Capitalism will sell you the donuts in the front of the grocery store and then sell you diabetes medication in the back. Capitalism is going to make fun of or make money from you while they're making you fat and sick, and then they're going to make money from you while you are fat and sick. That's the nature of the American medical system. First, step one. Second thing is with the police shootings, right? As you're trying to convince me that I should live my life in consistent fear that every cop wakes up every morning thinking, how am I going to kill a black man today? Which just really was interesting to me that they'd actually convince people that all cops were evil. So a cop would go to a black neighborhood and everybody would say, the little kids would be like, oh, mama, the police is coming, right? And I just thought that was interesting, right? To show how fear can be created. Let me read something to you, though. As we think that the number one threat to the black male is police shootings, why don't we look at a list, according to the Centers for Disease Control, of the top 10 causes of death of black people, shall we? Y'all want the list? Tell me you want the list. Put a yes in the chat if you want me to read the list. And I want you to tell me, and I did this a few days ago, because I think this is an important point to help you understand that a lot of times the black man in particular, since we're talking about black men, the black man fails because don't nobody really give a shit about the black man. And then when the black man's convinced to not give a shit about himself, then you double screwed. Okay. So so I want you to listen to this top 10 causes of death for black people. And I want you to tell me which one is police shootings? What number is police shootings? Number one is heart disease. Number two, now these are all preventable, by the way. Most of them are anyway. Number two is cancer. Number three is stroke. Number four is diabetes. Okay, well, I mean, everybody was worried about the police shootings. That has to be like in the top five, right? Oh no, wait. Well, there's homicide. There's homicide, but homicide. They didn't say police shootings, right? Homicide. I know a lot of brothers who got killed. I don't know a single brother who got killed by a cop. That's just my experience. I just know, but I know a lot of brothers who got shot. So that does happen. Chronic lower respiratory diseases, kidney disease, hypertension, high blood pressure, which is hypertension, accidents, unintentional injuries, and HIV/AIDS. Those are the top 10 causes of death for Black people. All right. And what I did not see, I did see homicide, which was number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that includes all of the shootings, all the killings of Black people, not just police shootings. So in my view, logically speaking, if Black lives really matter, I want to know, in addition to what you're doing about police shootings, what have you specifically done to prevent heart disease in the Black community? Because a lot of heart disease problem could be fixed just by like getting rid of all the Popeyes chickens that you constantly putting in Black neighborhoods. But maybe you don't really care about heart disease. I don't know, because last time I checked, every Black neighborhood in America has a chicken shop and some place you can buy some unhealthy fast food. So let's move to the next one. If Black Lives Matter, have you done things to help deal with all the different causes of cancer? Because we know what processed food does. We know what sugar does. We know what salt does, all that stuff. And what have you done in the area of strokes? What have you done if Black Lives Matter? What have you done to prevent diabetes? A whole lot of Black people got diabetes. So if you're telling me Black Lives Matter and you're only talking about police shootings, then you're not really telling me that Black Lives Matter. What you're telling me is that your politics matter, that Black people are being used as pawns to go and support whatever political agenda that you put in place so that you can get elected, so you can really take care of the rich people that are paying for your campaign ads. That's what you're really doing. That's what's really happening, right? So really my point is to say on this, at the end of the day, is that the solution for Black people is that you got to put yourselves first. That's it. The solution for Black men is you got to put yourselves first. And you can't lean on other people to fix problems that belong to you. You can't go serving other people and not serving yourself. And you cannot keep you cannot keep feeding your boys to a system that's designed to destroy them. You can't. If my mother had not protected me from the school system, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. They told my mother, this white lady told my mother when I was 5, she said, they're going to try to put him on medication. She said, don't do it. She said, your son's very smart. He just has a lot of energy. That's what the little white girl told my mama. And my mama remembered that. The white girl told her that when I think my mama was 22 and the white girl was 22. And so two 22-year-old women protected this Black boy from a system that does not want him to be a man. And so when you're talking about, if you want to increase the enrollment of Black males in HBCUs or in college or in educational programs in general, you're gonna have to fight a little bit. You're gonna have to fight for the souls of your sons. If you make a baby with a man, you're gonna have to find a way to work with that man. Pick the right damn man. Stop letting your vagina decide who you want to sleep with, or how much swag he got, or what kind of car he drives, or how he made you feel on the telephone, and start really thinking long term about the pain that your child will feel knowing his daddy's a piece of shit. Like that, this is just reality. And the same thing is true with men. I mean, come on, man. Like, these boys are looking up to you. You're really the last hope. You're the last line of defense for that little boy. If you don't train him and you're not there for him and you don't feel confident enough to be there for him, then he's gonna really struggle. He's gonna be lost. Manhood is something that must be taught. And again, just to show you that I don't dislike all the rappers, there's a lot of rappers I'm friends with. I talked to David Banner on the phone, not maybe it was a few years ago. I don't talk to David that much, but when we did talk, we both joked that when we learned how to be men, you know what we did? He said, there's a lot of times where I would just copy what my father did. And I said, me too, man. I did the same thing. So who's your son copying off of? If he ain't got a daddy to copy off of, he's going to copy off some buffoon on TV. And we know the buffoons on TV, most of them are buffoons, because if they wasn't buffoons, they probably wouldn't be on TV. The Black people that get on TV 9 times out of 10, the Black people who get the most attention. because attention is a commodity. That's why even those Real Housewives shows, they make black women look crazy, like ridiculous banshees. Even Married to Medicine, where you're thinking you're going to get these sophisticated women that are wives of medical doctors. Even these women were acting like complete idiots, acting like hood rats, because they want that. They have stereotypes they need to fulfill, and the stereotypes are profitable. It's all about the money. It's how they make their money. So really, um, I think you also need black men in the systems, in various systems. You need whatever school my black son goes to. I need some black male teachers there that are going to give him guidance on manhood. I don't care if you ain't got no black men up in here. He's not coming to this school. He needs role models that he sees regularly, that he can relate to, who are making healthy choices. That's what he needs. He needs to see a man and learn how that man loves his black woman. I learned how to love my wife from watching my father love my mother, how he was by her side till she took her last breath. That taught me a lot. He was determined to love this woman. And I said, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. If he had said, man, fuck man, these hoes ain't loyal. I don't love these hoes. If he'd done all that nonsense, I'd probably be the same way. Right? See, this is the thing. I think that men learn to be men from other men, and there's no way around that. And I need people to stop believing that it doesn't matter. I have to disagree with you. What else? I think that when you're talking about media, maybe we need to have conversations with our black boys about what's happening to a lot of these men they look up to, these so-called these rappers. Half of them going broke. A lot of them are hooked on drugs. A lot of them are ended up in prison. A lot of them are dying before the age of 40. And a lot of them are being called out by their kids because many of them are anti-family and horrible fathers, and they don't have anybody there for them. Many of them are going to die alone. Kevin Samuels talked all day about people dying alone, but he only talked about women. What Kevin didn't realize is that there are a lot of men who are dying alone too, up in the stroke ward, because they don't got nobody that gives a damn about them, because they never invested in a family. They never invested in people. Even their own kids don't care enough to come see them, and and they ain't got no woman because they want to go have sex with everything. Like, these are conversations that have to be had so that your son can make intelligent, structured, strategic decisions, and not just decisions that are based on him not investing long term. See, if you're prepared for the future, that means you invested in the future. And an investment almost never has anything to do with money. Investing is delay gratification. Investing is preparation. Investing is perspective. It is consciousness. It is an awareness that this too shall pass, that the future is coming, and you got to be prepared for the future. That's what investing is. So the reason you see so many people who are depleted, they're not just financially depleted. Their health is depleted. They're emotionally depleted. Their family is broken and torn to pieces. It's because they never invested in anything. You cannot have a harvest if you plant no seeds. You cannot have a harvest if you plant no seeds. So many people have no harvest. They get to 45 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, no family, nobody loves them, no money in the bank. Physical health is gone, mental health is gone. Well, why is that? Well, because you didn't invest in anything, man. Nobody taught you that to be a strong man in this society, you're not only are you going to have to prepare, but you're going to have to fight. Your preparation is your fight. Strategic preparation is critical for any black man that wants to succeed in this country. And for men who don't get that, I feel very sorry for them. But also, it's another reason why I appreciate the fact that I know a lot of soldiers, a lot of people, a lot of veterans, military folks follow this platform, and I have a lot of respect for you. I think we understand each other, because you also understand that if you go into battle without a battle plan, you're gonna get your ass kicked. But that's exactly what these politicians want us to do. That's what these teachers want us to do. That's what these systems want us to do. They want black people to be unprepared. They want black men to show up without a way to solve problems, without options. They want them weak. They will celebrate the weak, broken man and put him on TV, like the George Floyd situation. They will celebrate that before they'll ever talk about the black man who's fully capable of being successful and prepared and independent and knows what he's doing. And that's okay. That's what they do. But that shouldn't be what we celebrate. That shouldn't be what we talk about. So preparation is the key to success. It's really that simple. It's not that hard to get through a college class. It's really not. I always joked when I taught at Syracuse. I said, if you give me any 15-year-old of average intelligence and they come into my class and they do what I tell them to do, they're going to make at least a B in my class. It's really not that hard. College is watered down. College has become, kind of a joke in some spaces, right? but college is still valuable in certain ways, right? It can open doors. It's a great experience. So I'm very pro college, right? As long as you don't let the student loans bog you down. And I think we need these black boys on our campuses. And I think that there should be an effort by courageous individuals. If you're solving the problem when it comes to men, you need some courageous men who are going to step in there without worrying about political correctness and go find these young boys and guide them and mentor them so they can be prepared to go in there and kick some ass and take some names. I believe black men got to be prepared to kick ass. Black men should be prepared to win. And what's really interesting to me is that we get all that when it comes to playing basketball. We get that when it comes to playing football, but I don't know if we get that when it comes to the game of life. If you want to know how I was able to fight so many different things in my own life, not that I am perfect. I'm not here to put myself on anybody's pedestal. That's not what the goal is here. But I've won some battles. Well, I learned to win my battles from playing sports. I played all the sports when I was a kid. And I learned that if you want to win, you got to be ready to compete. If you want to win, you got to practice. You have to prepare. Every morning when we do finances and we're talking about economics every morning, all we're doing is practice. Every morning at 10 a.m., we're doing practice. Because I know the more you practice, the better you're going to be, the better you will be able to compete. So the question that I ask you is this, and this is the question I'm going to leave you on before I get out of here. I'm going to go spend some time with my wife. Who's preparing the black man to compete? Who's really just really going at it? I mean, no apologies, no excuses, no begging, no feeling sorry for yourself, no victim. Like, who's really getting in there and saying, come on, man, let's be ready. Let's stay ready. Ain't nobody really doing that. There's so much stuff in the media where they are convincing these young boys to get hooked on drugs at the age of 17, go out and get drunk so you can get shot by a cop, go get 5 girls pregnant so that you can't pay your child support and you got a bunch of STDs to go with it, to destroy your legacy, go commit a crime so you can go to prison and become somebody's bitch. Like there's so much in media that encourages young black males to do all the things that are necessary to destroy your life at an early age. And this should make you furious. This angers me so much because I'm sitting there thinking, you already know white people don't like you. You already know that they've been killing black men since the 1500s. So why in the world would you walk around high and drunk and lost and ignorant and unprepared? Like, what makes you think that's a winning strategy, sir? Who's going to have these conversations with the boys? Somebody does. And these conversations cannot exist within the space of white political correctness. They cannot exist in the space of like, well, whatever the Democrats don't think is comfortable. No, you need to let that boy know, look, you ain't white and you're not a woman. And with that positioning, now that we've established who the hell you are, you got to know that there's some expectations that are going to be dropped on you that are not fair. Life is not fair. Life is hard. I think that that's an appropriate conversation to have with black boys. I think that that conversation will impact how they show up later in life. I'm tired of seeing black girls who get it together, who are making good grades, and they can't find a black man to match that energy. But also, it's y'all's fault too. Women are too. We all are at fault for this. Because a lot of the women will pick the thug nigga over the man who's really trying to build a future. That right there is your brainwashing. What makes you think that having a baby with Lil Wayne and catching one of his many STDs is going to make your life better or make your life better for your children? So why in the hell are you chasing these ridiculous men in the first place? That don't even make no damn sense. That's crazy to me. That's insane. You have Disney superstar, 2 black girls, both were Disney stars. Hallie, what's her name? And the other one, both of them got pregnant with rappers. You didn't meet no nice guys in all that time you were dating. Now you are a baby mama. You literally went from being a Disney princess to being a baby's mama, and you chose to do that. That's how powerful the culture is. That's what happens when they're putting certain images on TV and our kids are sucking this in hook, line, and sinker and not thinking it through. Like, if I love my child, then I want to make sure my child has a good parent and that their parent is part of the family so my child can interact with the parent. I'm not going to pick a father who's going to grow up hating their child and not spending time with their child. But no, you're not thinking about that because the world's teaching you to think about the instant gratification that comes with sex. or how cute somebody is. So the reason this space might make some people uncomfortable is because I'm the guy who says, no, I think you should think strategically. I think you probably need to get some therapy or something, or learn how to woosah your way through situations, maybe where you're horny and you want to go do something stupid, and start learning how to think long term. Because what happens is that we have long term implications of short term decisions. And this comes from culture, because you have a culture that is hell bent on instant gratification. And people who are thinking long term are they're made fun of, they're laughed at. Whatever. I used to get laughed at when I was in college and I wanted to study hard. I would want to go to the library like 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, and people would think that I was a nerd because I didn't want to go to the step show. And I was like, the step show ain't gonna pay my bills. And when the white man has his foot on my neck, the step show is not gonna save me from that. So I'll go to the step show after I study. Thank you very much. And it shouldn't have took that much energy for me to do that. It shouldn't have been hard to convince other black people to go to the library with me. This is the reality, people. This is what we got to look at. And what I think is very sad is that when I say these things, there are people who just think I'm being mean, or they think I'm being irrational or illogical. Well, if you think I'm being illogical, then just go look at the data. Keep on failing, keep on losing your voice, because that's what's going to happen if you keep letting other people control your culture. So that's it. I'm done talking. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with me. I know I'm not a normal person. I know that sometimes I say things in ways that don't come out the way I want, but I'm doing my best. I'm being as honest as I can be, because I think that the solution is right in front of our face. And we just got to stop listening to white folks, and stop listening to ignorant black folks, and start listening to the intelligent people in our community who know what the solutions are. Listen to the elders. The elders knew how to survive before integration. And at that point, you got to find the solution wherever it lies. And it probably does not lie in the Democrat or Republican parties. It does not lie at your black job working for that white company. It does not lie in your baby mama itis broken families. It does not lie in any of those spaces. It does not lie in your favorite hip hop music video. It lies within your soul. It lies within your community. It lies within the elders and the ancestors. They can show us what we need to know. So thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you. Again, if you want to get a copy of my book or get a flashcards for children or whatever the case may be, feel free to go to drboycebooks.com. We have a lot of good stuff there. And also, I talked to Dr. Claude Anderson. He told me to tell you hello. And last but not least, if you want to join us for class tomorrow, just text the word morning to the number 87948, and I'll send you a notification. We start at 10 a.m. every morning. And bring your family, bring your children. Be a leader. Don't be afraid. Stand up. Don't worry about being politically correct. Stop worrying about people liking you, and start liking yourself. If you can do that, then that is how you make change. To hell with this bullshit. Excuse my French. I'm sorry I keep cussing because I'm mad. But to hell with this nonsense that's out here. It ain't got to be this way. We ain't got to be in last place all the time. We can win. We can win. We can win. But winning's going to require a sacrifice. Who's going to make the sacrifice? That's my question for you. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for listening. See you soon.